Hello, my listeners. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on your time zone. I welcome you to this exciting moment with Chigos Ndibu here in Forward TV. Happy weekend to everyone. Trust we are getting on well. Without mentioning words, we are to discuss the developments and recent happenings within the Nigerian state. As you join us, kindly like, share, and of course, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so. For returning subscribers, thank you for standing in with us. And if you're a new subscriber, kindly like, subscribe, and turn on the notification buttons so they can get our videos once it's been uploaded or whenever we are live. Of course, you'll get our videos. It's about raining this evening here in Lagos. I welcome you to a very exciting moment. It is happening live and direct, and it's no longer issue of disputes. The very fact that, of course, it is very clear. Okay, the country as it stands today is in the state of confusion, is in the state of disarray. Nowhere seems to be safe. It is quite a disturbing development. As the leader of the Afenifere youth have raised concerns over the continued adoptions and besieging of the Yorubaland or the southwestern region, despite the coalition or joint task force set up by the southwestern governors to address the incessant attacks or the influx of the terrorists within the Yoruba land. It is gathered most recently that some elements perceived to be the ISWAP or Islamic jihadists moving down to the southwest forest to occupy the southwestern forest, as some regions of the Yoruba land had been overrun by the insurgency or the terrorists that have infiltrated and occupied the forest, of course, using it as a training ground to unleash mayhem. Despite the collaboration by the southwestern governors, it seems nothing have changed because the continued massacre, abduction, kidnapping, paying of ransom is becoming more rampant within the Yoruba land. And this has raised so much concern that unfortunately most communities are fleeing their ancestral homes within the Yoruba land. And this informed the reason why the Afenifere youth leader could no longer keep quiet, because he himself has become a victim of this cruelty and the spike of insecurity that is bedeviling the southwestern regions. Most communities are fleeing. Very unfortunate. What could have led to this? What could have led to this? A very unfortunate situation we found ourselves in Nigeria. This is not just a particular region. No region is isolated. No region is exempted from what is going on. Not to say the least, one of the colleagues of the Chief of Defense Staff in Abuja, of course, was also adopted, and a ransom of 100 million demanded before he could be released. This is Abuja. He was adopted in his own home and along other victims. It's quite unfortunate that the security beef up within Abuja have not guaranteed the safety of the citizen. If Abuja and its environs could not be safe, where else could be safe? So it is not a surprise if the Afenifere should raise alarm over the besieged territory of the Yoruba land or the southwestern region, that it is a free-for-all fight. Everybody is in the state of panic. You hardly could travel from Lagos to Abuja without fear of an apprehension of being adopted, kidnapped, or possibly killed. What has brought us to these points? Some persons could refer to the position or statement of Mazen Namdekano, which unfortunately they failed to hit to, but now it is staring at all as sundry. It is no longer just about the north or about the eastern region, but even the Yoruba, the southwest, the region that produces the government or the presidents is not served today. Now, if the region that produces this president is not served, if the capital territory where the government, the president, the seat of power is not served, where else could be served? That is just the simple logic. Where else could be served? That is fundamental. Recall in 2024, about three obas within the Yoruba southwestern region, precisely Ekiti and its environs, were killed, macheted, massacred, beheaded by alleged or supposed Fulani militaries because of land dispute or whatever may have occurred. But the issue is that Obas were killed under the watch of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, where he hails from the region. And it appears that everything needed to be covered up for whatever obvious reasons, but that have not solved any problem either. Hiding under deception or disguise, or trying to cover up what is going on while the house is burning underneath. It's quite unfortunate. But today, they could no longer hide the truth about the great state of affairs within the Nigerian state. Needless to talk about the hunger or the ravaging effects of the hunger and the poverty in the land. Now, people are more concerned about their safety. You can no longer travel a kilometer or so without fear of being arrested, even kidnapped, even very close here in Karablit, for those who are familiar with Lagos and the environs. Ogun State here is also not safe. Now, where could be safe? No, if a very close to Lagos is not safe, where else could be safe? No, that is to tell you the state of the predicament that have befallen all that sundry. If nobody could uh, be exempted in this, everybody is vulnerable as far as the state of insecurity is concerned. Now, getting to Abuja, that is the seat of power, it has never happened that the state of kidnapping, I mean, life, nightlife is no longer fashionable in Abuja today. Everybody's calling to, of course, get home uh, as fast as early as they could, and that is not the case. That doesn't prevent them from being kidnapped. Now they are being trailed down to their homes, down to their, I mean, estate, and are yet being kidnapped in their very homes. Some have been killed. Some adopted in their estates, in their very homes, is not even on the road again. Now, what is the government doing with these current realities? One should have expected Tinubu to be more concerned about the security, the safety of Nigerians. Even those residents in Abuja, I mean, every other region could not be considered less important, but then if Abuja could not be guaranteed, the safety and security of those residents in Abuja cannot be guaranteed by the president. Now it is the state of, I mean, it's a state of anarchy. It is degenerating to a state of lawlessness where people organize crime, organized criminality prevailing with more robust networks, facilitating the abduction, the paying of ransom, and all that. So persons are beginning to doubt the sincerity and, of course, commitment on the part of the government to address these mirrors of problem bedeviling us. If Abuja, of course, the office of the chief of staff, chief of defense staff, a colleague could be adopted, and yet they could not track him. I mean, with such high level profile personality working with the chief of defense staff, the four-star general, well, it means there is something very serious and some persons are living in denial. More sadly to say, very sadly to say, the video of three Nigerian military men that was executed, of course, in Yobe State, where the Boko Haram executed them publicly. They uploaded the video and it went viral. It was a very, sorry, a gory sight, honestly. What is happening? Needless to talk about what is happening in the East, the forceful disappearances and the rest of them. People have accused the state actors or the politicians being involved in this reckless abduction and forceful disappearances. Just as what is happening in River State, the power tussle is just among politicians because of their vested interest, selfish interest. It is not because they are fighting to protect the interests of the masses. They are fighting to protect their own egos, their own selfish interests. It doesn't matter if the entire system collapses once they secure whatever they want to secure. Now, it has been alleged that Senator Victor Ume have denied being part of those that was allegedly induced or bribed by the Senate president. From the release of Vanguard newspaper, that he was denying being part of the 42 Senate members that was induced to effect the state of emergency in River State, paying each allegedly $10,000, just about 16 million naira, to change the destiny, the mandate of the people, of the electorate. This is quite a very disturbing case. If that happens to be true, that the senators, those who call themselves the lawmaker, the honorable, where is that honorability? Where is that excellency in the service to the humanity and to Nigerians? If they could be induced or influenced to go contrary to the position of the Constitution, it is unconstitutional for the president to unseat a democratically elected governor of River State, which has the secret mandate of the people. He took an oath of allegiance to the people. Now, if such happens to be true, then it means Nigeria is gone. Nigeria is totally finished. The reasons why the insecurity could not be addressed. Because if those supposed to protect the Constitution as custodians of the Constitution and the law could be so gullible, could be so disappointing to the fact that they could be induced no other under abuse, the 10th Senate Assembly president, he said that money has been sent to your inboxes, to your accounts, to go and enjoy yourself for enjoyment. When, of course, some members of the Senate called his attention because he never knew that the microphone was on and the public heard clearly what he said. He had to change it, that the email had been sent to your inboxes, so you're going to check the email. Who are you deceiving? This is a country where impunity reigns. Impunity is enthroned. And what do you expect if the foundation is destroyed? What shall the righteous do? If those who are entrusted with the responsibility of defending the democratic process could be indicted, could be deeply involved in corruption, inducement, and the rest of them, then it definitely means there is no hope. Nigeria is at the verge of total collapse. There is no hope. Where do you expect the hope to come from? If the president, the executive, could induce or manipulate the judiciary and the legislators, what are you legislating again? I mean, it is high time for Nigerians to dismantle whatever is called the Senate because they have not served any purpose. If they are there to share money and to, do the bidding of certain persons because of the inducement or monetary gains, now what is the place of service? How would they hold the government or the executive or the president accountable to the people? It's becoming invariably impossible. This could be only considered as a state capture. It's quite unfortunate. This is thinking towards an irreversible end because Nigerians could no longer feel secure. Some persons calling for revolution. What kind of revolution do Nigeria need? That is another important issue. First of all, the mental revolution. People getting aware and conscious of the realities and what it pertains to the future. Because with this development, it means Nigeria has no future without any apology to anyone. That is a personal observation or opinion. If this level of corruption, inducements, recklessness, abuse to power, lack of consciousness, and empathy for the people sustains, continues, it means there is no future for this country. Invariably, we have not seen any future. How do you define the future, if not for the present? How do you define the future, if not for the present? The present will define what the future holds for, and that is just the case. It is quite disturbing and unfortunate incidents. Very disturbing incidents and the very worrisome incidents. Of course, what transpired in the 2023 election was an eye-opener, where millions of hopes and expectations, of course, was dashed. The youths, the masses, expectations were that they lost hope about the greatness of Nigeria. They lost hope because if you must get things right, if you must hold the government accountable or those in leadership accountable, the process that elect them must be clean. The process which they emerge must be very clean, unbiased, and trusted. That is just the case. If people could not repose confidence in the electoral process, then the outcome of such could not be trusted. And hence, they could do whatever and get away with it because they believe that in a state of lawlessness, it is a crime to be law-abiding. If they could intimidate, subjugate, and pave their way to the corridor of power, it doesn't matter. They will sustain themselves with all level of criminality and subjugations. Now, calling for state of emergency to be declared in the southwestern region as a result of the kidnapping, incessant kidnapping adoptions. As I rightly said, that this is no longer an issue to hide. It's been a subject of hide and seek game being played, condoling the SSCs, why the house is burning, why communities are being sacked, just of most recent, in recent months past, where Mayegu was revealing some communities that has fled their ancestral homes, calling for safety in Benin Republic and other parts of the country. Some people were arguing or making a case that this is not, of course, sustainable, but then the evidence is here. The Afenifere youth leader saw it by himself. He survived by God's act of mercy. Today, he's telling the story, being subjected for 12 days without water, without any food. In fact, for him to have survived is a miracle. So this is quite a very disturbing development. And if Abuja could not be safe, where else could be safe? People are afraid of coming back to their own country. Those in diaspora are scared because of the level of corruption, level of criminality, level of irresponsibility. Going on. Everybody A free for all fight, everybody to himself, God for us all. If your door, let the devil takes you. Nobody cares what happens. The level of killing and massacre, abduction, forceful disappearances, hunger, and the rest of them. Nigerians are no longer holding anyone accountable for, of course, their daily lives and what is happening today. Who should we hold responsible if we have a government and if the primary responsibility of government is to govern the people, is to protect the life and property of the citizens and improve on the livelihoods, the living standard, living condition of Nigerians, then it means there is no government. I beg to disagree. If the primary responsibilities of governments, any responsible government, is to protect life and property and ensure and improve on the welfare of the citizens. And if such government fails in that primary responsibility, then the essence of governance, of existence, have been defeated. Then it's a failed government. Would that be the case of Nigeria today? Because even the chief security officers are fed up. They have exhausted all their strategies, of course, to curb this insecurity. But unfortunately, most of them are sabotaging the same cause for obvious reasons. We've heard about 3,000 ammunitions disappearing, which the police commissioners or the IG of police could not account for. This is what is under their own possession, but they don't know how it disappeared. They could not account for it. Ended up in the hands of terrorists, Boko Haram and the rest of them. How did they get there? And they couldn't account for it. And people are raising concern over the growing insecurity, impunity, and the recklessness within the system. As you join us, please kindly like and share this video and turn on the notification buttons for more political discourse. It is quite a very disturbing development, honestly, very disturbing one, as the case is. Should anyone desire such a country like Nigeria today? Abuja is not safe. Formerly, it was just targeted at the vulnerable Nigerians, poor Nigerians, Nigerians of middle class, and the rest of them. But today in Nigeria, there's nothing like middle class. It has been eroded by the inflections and the economic woes. We only have the top politicians who are getting richer by the day, and the poor Nigerians who are becoming poorer or impoverished. Multiple transactions is killing businesses in Nigeria. Multinationals are fleeing the shores of this country, and nobody is asking why. Nobody is raising concern. The communities, I mean, those concerned, the clergymen, the pastors, the imams are not asking questions. Only they are singing false praises. I mean, asking people, giving people false hope. And false hope, deception, is not just about the politicians, including the clergymen and the pastors and the imams and the rest of them. They are compounding the problems because of the inducement. This inducement is not just for the politicians or the for House of Senate. When they collect their own share, they believe, of course, they could validate illegality, corruption, and destruction. That is the reason why Nigeria is continuously sinking abysmally. It is nowhere to be found in terms of economy. The inflation is something that is eating deep. I mean, fast eroding the, the capacity of Nigerians to sustain families. Families are living in penury, abject poverty. I mean, even life is very difficult. In Nigeria, life is difficult. It's not just about pretending or mincing words. Life is extremely difficult here in Nigeria today. For those watching, you have your loved ones or relatives down there. Of course, if you're in diaspora, you should understand what I'm saying. or perhaps may have received one or two calls if you care to assist. Of course, you don't hesitate doing that because life is extremely difficult. Watching you here now, Chigos and Debo, uh, to sustain this program is not easy. Of recent, the telecommunications hike their tariff to 50%. You know what that means? That if you're using about 50,000 for a month or managing 60,000 for a month, you have to use double if you must, of course, continue the program. This is just an insignificant part. You're not talking about the power, the electricity generation that is not even nowhere. I mean, it's such abysmal. I mean, people are protesting. Of most recent, we heard where the military men invaded uh, Ikeja Electricity Company or whatever office because they could not bear it again because they are military men and perhaps nobody could challenge them. Do you expect civilians to have taken such move? It means they will bounce on them and perhaps invite the military men to 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 brutalize them. That is, I mean, everybody is getting to that point of frustration they could no longer bear. It's becoming unbearable. Whether you're a military man, of course, the daily allowances of food, allowances of the military, as they were complaining bitterly, the current chief of army staff, has to review it from 1,000 to 3,000 because of the terrible state of economy. Even the 3,000 is no longer sustainable. 3,000 as of today can't give you a meal, a single meal, let alone for 3 meals. That is the right, that is the truth. Come and tell me which part of Nigeria where 3,000 could serve for a meal. When you talk of a meal, relatively, just not relatively, a moderate balanced diet, just a meal, let alone talking of 2 meals in a day. So it's a state of horrifying and disturbing case. Now, I've just pointed about the military. This is not just the civilians. Everybody is calling, let alone the police. Why they continue extortions and the rest of them is the reason why, unfortunately, as I said, unfortunately, endemic corruption, extortions of the citizens, they are now, of course, expressing their level of frustration on the citizens who are still being, overwhelmed by these circumstances. Police is not feeling happy. The civilians are not happy. Then it's a time bomb, only buying time to happen. It's an accident buying time to happen. The only people who are happy is just the security, is just the politicians and those that are directly linked to them and their families. Spraying money, living large at the expense of the masses. It's quite unfortunate. When you consider the revolution of course, the France Revolution, the Italy or European Revolution, the American Revolution, it comes to a point that people could no longer bear it. They decide either they die or they live. If they have to live, then they must live a dignified life, not a life of slave, servitude, a life of dehumanizing states where people are being reduced to such horrible states. As a family man, it's relatively difficult to survive in this country today. In this country, I'm not talking about unpaid tuition fees for your children, the house rent being escalated more than 1,000% today. So people are talking about fuel, everything escalated in the same frequency, exponentially. Common bread is no longer common. People regard, some persons regard Gare, Babi Jabu Gare as common. Go and price it now. It's become a choice food. Nigerians feeding, in dustbins, considering feeding in dustbins as luxury. Those things that naturally would have been discarded is becoming a luxury in Nigeria today. People were complaining in one of the brokers, is it a government institution, of calling Nigerians to stop eating rotten tomatoes, those decaying tomatoes that is cancerous. It has contains some elements or agents that could be cancerous or could lead to cancer. People are asking, which one will they afford? The good ones are no longer affordable. So they could resort to those ones are almost at the stage of decaying. I mean, it's a horrible state where we have trillions of nairas running into tens of trillions as budgets. Unfortunately, the masses at the receiving end, despite the humongous budgets, it ends up in the coffers, in the hands of politicians, shared among the executive, the legislators, the judiciary. And people are left with nothing. Nothing, absolutely nothing. What have I, how, in what way has the resources or the previous budgets benefited me, myself, and my family? In what way? No social security, no basic amenity, no pipe-borne water. As Lagos, as mega city as Lagos, there is no affordable or potable water supply to the public by the government. I've not seen it anywhere around where I'm residing. You hardly could cite anywhere. And you have those ministries receiving their annual budget and the allocations on monthly basis, if not weekly basis or yearly basis. This is quite a very disturbing case. Now it is getting now down to everybody. This is not just about those in the remote areas or remote regions that is inaccessible, where the police, there is no even presence of uh, uh, police station, let alone police presence, personnel. It is now getting to the urban cities, to Abuja, to main cities. People are being adopted, kidnapped, some killed. It's quite a very worrisome state. Of most recent, during Buhari time, we saw how even the presidential guard brigades were also killed, ambushed and killed. Things are getting more worse. Needless to talk about what is happening in my region, the eastern region, is quite unfortunate. The killings, the abductions, everybody is helpless. Nobody knows who now is involved. The people are crying. People are raising alarm, just as the Afenifere youth leader have raised alarm that the continue is such criminality uh, is becoming out of place. People are no longer safe and secured, as if they have been besieged by some nefarious elements who are there to unleash mayhem, to kidnap and subjugate the people. This is no longer what is happening in the Meduguri, where, of course, the Islamic State of West African province is insisting they are going to, of course, do away with the Nigerian military and the presence of Nigeria, and they establish their own caliphate, Islamic caliphate, or for whatever reasons. Now, if the government considers it's almost impossible to win this war and win this war, what should the government be thinking at this time? Because people will not continue to be dying endlessly, massacred. I saw where young ones, youths, were fleeing from the shootings, sporadic shooting of the terrorists, bandits, call it Boko Haram, and the rest of them. In Benue, they are everybody fleeing, nobody is running, everybody is running helter skelter to scurry for safety. Where are they running? They are leaving their homes, they are leaving their farmlands, they are leaving their existence. I mean, their means of livelihoods, living, running with bare feet to safeguard themselves. Who has brought us to this point of destruction? Sadly, The politicians are only interested, engrossed with the illusion of returning back to power. Comes 2027, why today is burning, today is not secured. You're talking of 2027 because you don't care, haven't surrendered yourself with the military or security orderlies. That's, of course, you feel secure. What happens to any other person is immaterial, provided you and your family and immediate allies are safe. This is quite unfortunate. How can people survive? Afenifere leader or youth leader was adopted by what is called the Fulanis or whosoever kidnappers. After paying ransom, he was able to be released. He is now calling for the president to declare the state of emergency over the continued kidnapping, infractions, and massacre of people within the southwestern region, which is a good call, is a welcome call if the government will pay attention to that, most especially the governors. Of most recent, we saw the coalition or the movement collaboration by the southwestern governors. Is it that it's not working? They say they are going to forge a formidable front that will go into the forests of the southwestern region and push out these nefarious elements harboring in those forests. So is it that they have not, of course, commissioned the corps or whatever be the case? It is quite a very disturbing one because insecurity attack on one is attack on all. Injustice to one is an injustice to all. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, raised this concern several years ago. But rather than people digesting, paying attention to what he is saying, they dismissed it, of course, with ignominy. But the reality staring at us today is quite a very disturbing case. Today, what is happening is beyond what people could even have imagined. People are fleeing their ancestral homes. People are living in fears on a daily basis. Now, what kind of freedom do you have when you can't have your freedom? You can't have your peace. You can't have your freedom of movement. It's been restrained or restricted because of the continual escalations of this insecurity. It's a very worrisome situation for anyone who cares to know. It's a very disturbing case. Disturbing case indeed. Honestly, very disturbing. And this is giving rise to more criminality because people has no source of livelihoods. There is no job, no creation of new jobs opportunities for the teeming populations of the youth, drifting into criminality, ritualists, Yahoo Yahoo, and the rest of them. Now, if a society does not give opportunity for her teeming populations, predominantly youths, to build their future, what future could such community or society be building? Today, based on the actions and antecedents of the politicians, the younger ones are now following the same path because they have understood that the only language that is more recognized, that people value much, that the politicians respect, that people sing their praise is money. It doesn't matter how you get the money, either by crook or by any means, get the money. If it means looting the treasure, the public treasure, it doesn't matter. Let you get the money and spend the money. And because of this pressure, people are now tending towards criminality. The society, the moral decadence, there is no longer morality in their homes. In the society, people are now after the pursuit of wealth, trying to make it by all means. Quite unfortunate. You see young people, teenagers, involving themselves in adoption, in ritual monies in the name of rituals, killing and adoption of women just to make money. What does the future hold for such a country? Sadly put, the government is making things worse by not creating jobs, not addressing the basic necessity needs of the people. Nigerians are industrious, hardworking, but unfortunately, there's no enabling environment created for them. Sadly to say, multinationals are leaving, retrenching more Nigerians to join the already saturated workforce. Now, humanity has an instinct of survival. If it is not becoming, of course, if life and of course the pressure of life threatens them, they have that instinct of drifting into criminality, and that will definitely, of course, bounce back on the society. It's a very worrisome state. Now, who shall save us from this destruction? That is an important issue to discuss. Who shall save us from this destruction? What is the way forward? Who shall redeem Nigeria from this calamity? It is a very disturbing case and a very worrisome case, which everybody must not keep silent. But how far do we go for those we cannot control the resources we don't have, we don't implement policies? If the government is hearing us, they should step up and do what is needful. Unfortunately, how do you address injustice, imbalance in the system, why you're fantastically corrupt yourself? You can't, because he that comes to equity must come with clean hands. If the supposed honorable members have been indicted or allegedly indicted of inducement, the Nigerian Bar Association has slammed the Senate for endorsing the state of emergency in Rivers State. That this is unconstitutional. Now, if the Nigerian Bar Association could be in parallel line with the House of the Senate House, then it means there is something fundamentally wrong. There's something fundamentally wrong. Now, it means that the Senate can go out of their way, provided money is involved, to legalize criminality or illegality, unconstitutional undertakings by the executive, because money is involved, money will be shared. Well, this is quite a very disturbing case. If that happens to be true, then Nigeria is, of course, sitting on the cake of gunpowder. And perhaps there may not be a place to scurry for safety if this continues. The handwriting is on the wall. People are fed up with this development. And you don't have to blame them, because when life becomes miserable, when you make life more miserable for the people, then you are just building an army of resistance, an army that will definitely revolt. Perhaps it's just a matter of time. I think it's incumbent on the president or the government to do what is needed to return their parts and begin to fix the economy, begin to do what is rightful, to show some level of resentment, commitment to the welfare of the citizens. How can you love Nigeria and you want your own citizens to be suffering, subjugated to such level of suffering? People are dying of starvation, needless to talk about the healthcare system, where everybody is now resorting to self-medication, the, the use of abo and the rest of them as a substitute. Unfortunately, most drugs are substandard. Rather than curing the patient, you rather escalate the or compound the problem. People are living in with so much ailments that are not even would not be diagnosed. If you need to diagnose them, no facilities, no laboratories that could diagnose that. They will just make presumptions, assumptions, and write whatever they write. Most of the drugs have substandard. No, the corruption have eaten deep in every facet of Nigerians, or fabric of Nigerians' existence. Honestly, it has eaten deep. Even to buy food on the roadside is a threat because you don't know what transpired, how the food was prepared. People are using even chemicals to preserve fruits, vegetables, when they know that that is harmful when being consumed because they want to make money by all means. It's quite unfortunate. It is degenerating to the point that everybody will have to stand up. But perhaps there could be a remedy for this country. If by remedy, I mean the disintegration of this country. There's nothing wrong disintegrating Nigeria if that will enhance the proper management and coordination. It appears that 200 million population is just a cost. But there is no management, there is no data control, there is no data management. Nobody knows who comes in, who goes out anytime. I mean, it is quite a very disturbing case. Why in UK, in London, America, before you get into a local government or county, the government should know that you are living in such parts of the country. I mean, down to the local government. This is not a state. The influx of Boko Haram terrorists at all times, of course, unchecked, and the rest of them, you begin to ask, what kind of country is this? It is only in zoo that, of course, in an open zoo where animals, of course, could walk anyhow, except for those who want to defend their own domain, just like the hyenas, the lions, and the rest of them. It's quite unfortunate and sad to say the current configuration of the leadership or the system today does not foster any hope. Nigerians being miserable, hopeless in the midst of renewed hope. What an irony. What a tragedy of the moment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. Do appreciate. Wishing you the best. On this note, we'll draw a curtain to this broadcast. Look out for an opportunity to assist anyone you can because nobody knows tomorrow. A little assistance you could render could save a life. It doesn't necessarily mean millions, but then appeal to your conscience. Reach out to the government if you can. Let them hear you. If you're connected or related to them, unfortunately, some will not want to speak out because of what they stand to gain, the monetary inducement, or perhaps anticipated assignment or, you know, contract or whatever is the case. A life lived for oneself is a useless life, but a life lived for others is a life worth living. Thank you once again as I leave you with these provoking thoughts. Who will save Nigeria from this destruction? Unfortunately, we have left crucial issues untouched, and now disaster is looming. May God save us from this calamity.